Well, Isleweaver is officially out, and boy, can Warframe ever just stop being so good. It's not possible. This music, I've heard a little bit. I did the event about 2 or 3 times the other day. This event is lovely, and it's really nice to be back in Duviri, and I like how we're essentially getting a fusion of some of the stuff we've seen in Warframe 1999, which makes sense, and also some of this new stuff, or this old stuff, I guess, going back to a classical time period, and especially the Tethra Jirac piece that absolutely blew me away. Let's listen to all of this. Have they cooked? Yes, they have. This is the main menu. I had not spent a lot of time with this. Here we go. But wait, you know what's amazing about this is, and I don't know how this is going to develop because I literally have not heard very much of this, but first of all, I have to say, it's amazing to hear that the Albrecht and Trotty Warframe 1999, that motif that we know so well at this point. Yada, 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 yada. That motif is interesting because if I'm correct, the most we hear it is when dealing with Albrecht. But it certainly pops up quite a bit in Warframe 1999, of course. Regardless of where it is, it's gorgeous to hear it in this very, very special solo violin. I think it showcases a disparity, a silence, a feeling of space, of loss, a feeling of being real kind of intimate in a way, which I find really interesting there. Yeah, so what we end up having is we have this constant drone, and then over top we have this beautiful violin. You feel this sense of death in a way. You feel this sense of everything is sort of collapsed around that theme. It has a bit of like, well, what do we do now? That's the sound to me. Where are we going from where are we going from here? There's a bit of a question in it. What do I have? What am I going to lose next? And then we pick up. Then we pick up. Then we pick up. Love the string. There we go. Void tongue. Nice dissonance. Wow. That's terrific. So virtuosic. I think the juxtaposition there between the very elegant, feminine, virtuosic playing there in the violin, it really gives essence of Vivaldi in a lot of ways, doesn't it? That combined with the terrific, dominant, forceful, strong chant in that void tongue is just a wonderful pairing, isn't it? Because I think that those two just offer this dichotomy between the virtuosic Vivaldi-esque violin coupled with that powerful, angry, man in the wall, essential vibration, essentially, that we get with that sort of void tongue, hoo-da-dee, da-doo-da, dee-da-dee. Well, over top, it's almost like the two are in direct conflict with each other, right? Or there's a balance between femininity and masculinity in there that really plays into it very, very strongly. The strong male vocals and then this glorious mid-upper register violin that's very, very almost like running, or there's a sense of running in it, or a sense of shouting, or a sense of just an elegant sort of restraint that wants to be let free, while we get that real powerful man in the wall there. It's so evocative, isn't it? It's so cool. But I think too, the dissonance in that is just really effective as well. Yada, yada, yada. You know how, I mean, like that to me is really awesome as well, because that leans into the idea of power at play. Or like complexity in you know, what side are you really on, or also just danger, and elegant danger at that. It's quite tricky. I love how you don't really know where you stand with it, right? And then the synthetic takes over. To me, this is a real return to form for Warframe. I mean, I don't mind the Warframe 1999 soundscape, you know, the grunge punk sort of, well, really grunge rock. It's not really my preferred aesthetic. I really like this fusion that we get here with this essentially like what sounds like, you know, this really provides the balance of the classical Duviri-esque music and also that classic Warframe sort of earthy, guttural, visceral sound that is produced in this case with the Void Tongue. It's really, really powerful, I think, and really effective. Let's go to Dust's Dominion. Ha! But you see, like, that's the Duviri. That's a cool little nod. Great rhythm. I just put 2 and 2 together. So in this particular update, we have the, you know, Dominus Thrax versus the man in the wall, and I think, you know, the kiddo. And what I think is really appropriate here is that we get the balance between the Duviri upright citizens, the very baroque qualities that we would hear in a Vivaldi or what have you, in direct opposition to that man on the wall, you know, the fragmented one. And in fact, that's one of the bosses that you fight is the fragmented one, if I recall correctly. So, you know, I only played a couple matches, so forgive me. I find that the juxtaposition here, now obviously this is dialed up, it's a little bit more extreme compared to the main menu. I think it works really well as a boss theme as well to sort of recycle or rehash what we hear in the main menu. I mean, we have that in Warframe plenty of other times, but I feel like it works unbelievably well in this context. Even just listening to it is such a badass piece. But that's the clash that I was referring to earlier, and I finally woke up and put 2 and 2 together. It's really cool to see how we have the Baroque upright, good postured poise of the Duviri citizens and you know, Thrax, and then versus this thing, which is the fragmented one, you know, the anger in it and the rage in it as well. Some really nice doubling there happening with the lower crunch of the synth mixed in with the just the mirror images there as well, the mirror sounds of going up and then going down, and then in tune with that synth as they sort of merge together is really, really, I think, effective and quite powerful, I'd say. It's a very strong piece, isn't it? It's very elegant at the same time. I love the mixture of elegance with the sense of brutality. Just sliding up like that. This is such a genius transition, by the way. So we go, and then underneath you go, and it merges together, and it takes this conflict and essentially marries it and says, now we're united. Now we are connected in this violence. We're no longer fighting each other. Now we're morphing. Yes! Amazing. There's a build up there, even at the very end. I love that back half as we sort of again reference Duviri, and we reference like where we are in time and where we are in the place and through music, right? That's the power of leitmotif, is that we are obviously connecting ourselves back to Duviri Paradox from several years ago. But then on top of that, what we get is this real powerful, vengeful Uris Kakari. Uris Kakari. And there's something so evocative and effective about using consonants in this way to deliver a sort of a visceral feeling, right? And that's all produced via consonants, and also just, again, repetition of tone, continuing through the sound of anger and the sound of power, coupled again with that upper register violin that's all about elegance and all about grace, and even that's trying to fight, though, right? It's really, really neat stuff. I just love it. Beneath Her Eyes. The chant is just so effective. This to me, it really feels like an attempt, and I didn't want to reduce it to be like this is just Warframe's attempt at meeting up with Doom / Mick Gordon, but it just works so well. I honestly, all of Isleweaver I like more than everything I heard in Warframe 1999 base. Isleweaver's soundtrack just scratches every itch I have for hard rock or this intense sort of this. I don't even know what you would call this, punk crunch. I don't know what it is, but like this is almost symphonic metal borderlining on it. And I love the aesthetic of the chant in the background as well, or the sort of shouted proclaimed thing. Again, it's such an evocative thing to then throw in, because I mean the piece is fine. I mean obviously this is just like music for when you're fighting, right? This must be when you're doing the event and you go into the Undercroft, if that's what if I remember it. You know, I don't pay attention to any of these details. I probably should. I'm always too busy listening to the music. I like don't remember names, even though I'm enjoying myself and I'm playing the game and I'm enjoying my frames and you know the Valkyrie rework is, and Araxia is. It's just great, but like the whole anyway. I don't know what I'm saying. All that to say, like this just works so well. I love this sound. This package is such a solid 10 out of 10, must recommend one listens to. Were I to be reviewing this properly and like, you know, spend more time with this music, but like, it's such a satisfying sound. I love this. Roll. You know, it's so good. I wanted to go like one little bit further. I wanted to really lean into, and I don't know if it's going to, but like I would say that one of the things that I would like of this piece is to lean further. We just had this amazing come away. I want that fat drop. Now I'm not saying that what's here is bad by any stretch of the imagination, by no means. But I think like I would like to see this just dialed up to right now we're building to 100, and right there I felt like I didn't get my full release. So I want my full release. You know, I get a little bit of musical a little bit of musical blue balls, for lack of a love that long short. Like again, like the vocals there are actually it's great. Totally love it. Like it's great. It's so spicy. And I think also too, like just the long short does such a great job of like building and immediately releasing tension. Right? Tension. Right. I love it because it's so like pronounced. It's so great. Even also just the build up, come away, blah, 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 blah. It's ever so slightly almost screamo, but it chooses to go in an opposite. I would actually, I would love to hear this like full-on screamo, like hardcore Slipknot, or Korn is not really Slip, you know what I mean? But like just like that, this, I don't, for whatever reason, this is scratching my ear in my brain and my like physical, my soul musically. Just in such a big way. I really like this. This has like this beautiful mix of some classic Doom stuff, a lot of Doom sort of repetition in there, mixed in with some really spicy, fun cyberpunk. Now, again, I don't want to detract from how good it is on its own by attaching other games to it, but those are the two games that I feel are sort of in the wheelhouse of this. It's so unique and it's so special. It's really, really fun to listen to. I love the chant. It just makes me laugh. I love that little gesture. Isn't that a great musical gesture? And again, that's like, you know, that's all like, what the hell is happening here? You know what I mean? Like, we're just getting done with this fight and we're just kind of like looking back like, bro, what? You know what I mean? I love it. Come away. Bro, I like that a lot. Isleweaver, it's just crazy. And now for the main event. This I have heard. It blows my mind. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a full deep analysis with this one or if I'm going to save that for another video. But Tetra Jirak, what? We have a lot to talk about. Let's listen. So this is still Francesca, I believe. So first of all, I just, without even getting started, you don't realize how hard it is to create really great modern classical music. And in this particular case, these guys just did it. They just did it in such a big way. They combine, you know, rock metal aesthetics with glorious operatic singing. You know, I would say symphonic metal-ish. I guess, if you want to categorize it, but it really is kind of in its own genre. It's definitely one of those pieces that I would absolutely share with an opera singer or a classical musician because it just is so difficult to create interesting, melodic, and unique experiences for people that are, you know, modern and fresh and actually work. Like, this is the kind of stuff that really gets me going, is the idea of like placing this in a concert hall next to Carmina Burana or some other wild, like both this and Duviri Paradox both deserve to be on the stage. Also, furthermore, what I would like to also point out is the organ. Now, Araxia, a spider lady, scary, spider lady, devious, spider lady, kind of creepy. Also, why hot? You know what I mean? Like the balance there is great. And I think the organ really delivers on that in a big way. Amazing. The doubling there. So, you know, whatever the words are, like it's just so pronounced, right? And that's really the thing, is like, this is really an unveiling. This is a reveal. This is us saying like, hello, motherfucker, you know, I'm here. We're here. You're in my space. And if you think about it, we are. And when we fight Araxia, we are in her domain. It's that owning of oneself. It's that owning of the presence of the space, to be like, what's up? You're in my space. I love that sound. And it's very pronounced. I wouldn't say it's very melodic or fluid per se. Pa da 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 da. And then also too, what's really cool is of course having the chant underneath, coupled with the organ unison movement, if I recall correctly. Those balanced things that help with that declamato style is very declamare is to declaim, to pronounce, to announce. And to me, this isn't super fluid. It's not like Duviri where we have a lot of color and a lot of different differences in shifting emotions. Here it's very like, you're in my fucking way, and I kind of like that about it. Wait, and I want to say one more thing. Marked that way as well by the dum takata dum 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 dum. That's another way that we get there. You heard what I mean, though? Even there, we haven't really deviated from, and I think that's okay. I don't think it's to its detriment at all, but I think what's kind of interesting here is that it's just very announced. Da, 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 da. All that stuff is really cool because it's doubled in the other instruments, and especially in the organ. So even though we are moving away from tetrajarak, we're actually staying within the melodic idea of that, the pitch-wise. And I think it's really cool is that we're going lower, but we're still in that phase of just like, get off my lawn. You know what I mean? And I think like that's the strength there. And I think too, like Araxia is a strong character who is not going to tolerate anyone's bullcrap. And I think that's a really cool way to lean into the soundscape. In a lot of ways, this kind of soundscape is something that you would often hear maybe more attributed to a bass baritone or a baritone. It's a little bit more. In fact, I would like to hear also a male cover of this. I guess maybe I should do it, but it doesn't matter. All that to say, like, what I really like here is how elegant it is and how strong and dominant it is without having to use a male voice. But, because oftentimes soprano sounds or alto, well, soprano specifically, end up being the voice of God, innocence, angelicness. Yes, I mean, sometimes they are used for things that are scary or uncomfortable. In this particular case, what I think is done really well here is how strong the unison supporting of the soprano voice there, how strong that is in reiterating essentially the plot or what is. It's very simple and very strong, and I like that a lot about it. Love that. Love going up into the upper register. I mean, it's glorious stuff. That's a glorious phrase. I think that piece is incredibly well done. I don't think it's generic in any stretch of the imagination. I think it's unique in the way that it uses the soprano voice, as I mentioned while the piece was playing. I love the chant. I think the chant really sets it up against, it's just so unique. The organ movement again is so special. Again, I mean, organ is such a commonly used, especially when you think of an opera like, say, Faust by Gounod, which is, it's Mephistopheles, the devil is predominantly singing with an organ. I think it's such a special way of treating the soprano voice by using an organ. Also showcases danger, malevolence. Organ is such a synonymous thing with the Antichrist and the antithesis of religion in video games specifically. I've seen it now. I've heard it now countless times be used for evil things, and I think that fits the bill here. Do I think it stands up against classical music? I think it does. I think maybe it could be more. It could be more. There could be more nuance, more melody. It could be a different piece, but I mean, but that's sort of irrelevant, isn't it? Because as a piece, Tethys is so good and really, really exceptional, and I definitely want to play this for non-gamer musicians who may come on the channel and be curious, because I think that would really excite them, and I feel like they would also offer some interesting insights. It's a badass piece, exceptionally well done. I think that Isleweaver is by far my favorite music that has come out this year from Warframe. I'm definitely extremely happy with what I heard in this update, and honestly, the update itself, yes, it's an event, but it's just really great. I mean, it's just great. Warframe continues to meet expectations and surpass them in a lot of ways, and I'm genuinely just so happy to be hearing such excellent music coming out of this incredible team. Kudos to them as always. Thanks a ton, and I'll talk to you later.